Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Tuesday. I was supposed to go out, but I was like, oh, it's gonna rain. It's all dark outside. It's the thing. So I was just gonna stay in. And I decided to follow up on my last video because I said I was gonna watch the video by Harris Sultan about like what's going on in Australia and stuff. And it's like, holy shit, eh? Can you imagine these fuckers come in your country and they want to put mega speakers around their fucking temple so that they can pray and feel like it's home sweet home? They're like, okay, cool. So where are you doing it? Oh, in a major city around other people and shit. It's like, so you want to make it like a retreat just for Muslims. You want to like put these Minera whatever fucking speaker towers to spread your homosexual propaganda. Well, let's be honest, right? I was watching this like article about this group of female Karens, as they are colloquially called. I think it's something shout. Well, actually, I'm gonna look it up right now. Might as well. Journalism. All right, so they are called video game activist collective shout. I think that's what it's called. I think. No? Yeah. Collective shout. So they're a group of Australian women who are unattractive, right? And they're so unattractive that let me just take a look at them. They don't even want to show their faces, so I'm just gonna Google their images, see what they look like. Collective shout. Okay, so let me just boom, because I saw them before. Yeah. Yep. These people, okay, imagine you're a woman and you live in Australia, right? You go to the beach, you're triggered. You go on the internet, you're triggered, you know? You try to talk to guys and they don't want to talk back to you, you're triggered, you know what I mean? And what do? You go after video games. And because it's like, you come from a country of such beautiful women and you are not, like that in and of itself is, the crux of everybody's problem. As Gold said, I think these people are more dangerous than terrorist groups, than this, than that, because, whatever. It's like, damn, they fucking ugly. Holy shit. And I thought it was just going to be like, being mean on them. Like, damn, ugly mugla fucklings. All right. So you have a pro-feminist, anti-woman group in Australia, which is basically, trying to tear down the pride of Australia, saying they have no sovereignty to the nation. You see the indoctrinated youths and stuff. Like, we should stop funding all post-secondary schools, tax funding, because it's like this is nonsense. How are you telling me that you're having an institution that's telling your students that the country that they live in is bad, right? And then these other countries are good, even though those countries are doing a bunch of bad shit. Case in point, Punjab. So what has Punjab done? Well, you see, it's tried to infiltrate, well, it has, largely because Canadians are weak, but it's tried to infiltrate North America. In America, they're failing miserably. Like, and I do mean miserably, right? Like this one dude, right? And like, I think like a lot of people got the story wrong, because it's not what they think it is. It's not some guy who just like ran, like did a U-turn with a semi, and like with his trailer, he basically made a minivan who was following behind them. This is on a highway, by the way. So the minivan who was following this like Sikh truck driver got T-boned because when they were making the U-turn, right, he just basically blocked the entire lane, and it just came out of nowhere. Like, you could even see it on video. That guy's a fucking idiot, right? And he's been in the country, what is it, like 7 years? So he came in 2018 illegally in south of the border in Mexico, desperate for them white women. He gets a trucking license in Florida. You know what I mean? And then, like, you could see, like, can you imagine? Like, this motherfucker came to the country, and I don't know if he paid off his, like, smuggling fee or whatnot. Well, most likely he did, but he's, like, living, like, impoverished and shit. And he's, like, working these stupid long hours or whatever. And then, like, He's dumb. You know what I mean? He's dumb. Like the physically, he doesn't look like a guy who would be, handling, a load inside of a truck. Like these are very much slave laborers that are utilized by their fellow Punjabis to like, smuggle drugs to like, for the white women. It's all about the white women. Like I said before. And I made this video about Hassan getting Jewed, and like, what is it with Hassan and his orbiters or whatever the fuck? And they always come into my fucking things and watch every single video I make about him specifically, and everything else just gets left alone. Yo, that video I made on where my white women at, that video is a fucking masterpiece. I don't give a shit what anybody says. And you're not gonna watch that video, you're gonna watch this one? Get the fuck out of here. That's how I know you're on Hassan's dick, and they're calling me homosexual. And I'm just like, okay, yeah. There's this magazine. It never happened. No, he never took a picture in a bathtub with soap suds all over him. Like, yo, the delusions, the hypocrisy of the Islamic homosexual caliphate. So in Australia, they don't want these guys to be taken over. It's over. Basically, the only reason that there's so many Muslims in the country, and I'm beginning to see the reason why, is because we have ugly women, and these ugly women, they're fat, they're disgusting. They want everybody else to lower their standards for them, and when we don't, they say, oh, pro immigration, pro illegal immigration, and they're very like you'll notice this tactic with like these kinds of scumbags is that if you can't prove guilt, then they'll just like, do whatever they want, and pretend like you're oblivious to their true intentions, right? Because if you can't prove it, then like they feel as if they're safe and stuff. And now the world is saying, look, ugly women, thanks to Addison Gold mostly, but ugly women shouldn't be like making these decisions that affect everybody. Because if you're fucking ugly and you don't have any kids, I don't exactly see. Even if you do have kids and you're fucking ugly, I don't see the point of you influencing other people because your genes are weaker than everybody else's. It's like asking for athletic device from like disabled or obese people. Like it just makes no zero sense. You know what I mean? Ah, I died. So it happens when you try to take on two Seregioses, and they're both tempered. 9 stars. Great. Back to what I was talking about. So the world's waking up. Shallowness, alongside racism, is coming back. All right. Being shallow. I was always shallow, by the way. I don't know if I pointed that out before in previous videos, or I commented or whatever. 'Cause I make a ton of videos now. I'm making this YouTube thing like a semi career slash hobby because it's like career wise, I don't want to make any money off of this, but I want to be able to look back at my illustrious career, at least before I get banned, by the way, and I'll get to that in a second, right? So I put out a lot of things on the internet about them Sikhs and being pedophiles and stuff, and guess who doesn't like that? The Sikhs. They mass complained and mass reported my account and got my Twitter account banned. And do you think I give a shit? No, I'm proud. I think Twitter is a fucking mental cancer and it needs to be put the fuck out because the people who are on Twitter are like the FBI is wasting money investigating other people when they could just go on Twitter and basically get like more or less like a residual, mental image of how these people like, go about their day to day, like, their mannerisms, their mentality. And it's crazy how we've come to the point where not only is racism necessary, but also being shallow. Like we can't accept ugly people. We can't accept unhealthy people, people who don't like to exercise. Obviously there's going to be like, circumstances that are beyond a person's like control. So in those specific circumstances, obviously we're not going to like, lose our humanity and just become a bunch of like, a pack of like, a crazy mob of people who are unreasonable and this and that. But we also have to take it into account where being nice like hurt us in the long run. So what I mean by that is by allowing like illegal immigrants to come south of the border into America. Sikh, his name is Harjinder Singh. Great, another one of these fuck. And I think the best was like this one. I gotta find it. YouTuber. No, it's actually a trucker who pointed this out. The reason why he said that, like, these Sikhs take the last name Singh is because they don't have a last name, right? It's not their last name. It's a Hindu last name, and they're not Hindu. They're Muslim blood. And the fact that he pointed it out, a trucker of all people, I think his name is like, Wild Truckers, Crazy Truckers. I'm gonna look that up because I want to do some real journalism. So these Hassan orbiters, by the way, they come into my video. There's like almost like 300 of them and stuff, right? And they're all like, I don't know. Oh, here we go. Here we go. No, that's not it. Okay, whatever. It's just some trucking guy. I'll post the comment in it. What the fuck? My YouTube is blowing up with all these things. But anyways, I just back on topic, right? So then Australia banning these minaras and most likely street gatherings for prayers and stuff. I don't know if that one is also bad, but it's like a sign of the times. People are getting pissed, man. Like, this isn't a religion. It's like a homosexual cult that like purposefully, and like for people who think I'm a naysayer for saying that, it's like, okay, well, explain this to me then. How do you get the two pronged approach, right? You get the homosexuals who are getting thrown off of buildings, getting persecuted, getting hunted and harassed and all that shit in Islam. But also, there's actual homosexual men in Afghanistan and the Arab Peninsula, whatever, taking advantage of little boys dressing up as girls is well documented in multiple countries. Nobody's going into these countries, by the way, and telling these men to do this. This is part of the Islamic culture. This is why I say it is a homosexual cult, because very much so, once you take away and disenfranchise, all the women around the world, what are we left with? Like, do you want nothing but guys to be making decisions in your life all the time? Like, at first you'll be like, well, they're more sensible than. No, they're not. They're inbred, dude. Like, here's the thing. Like, I understand that the world is a little bit fatigued with feminism, as, like I said, the aforementioned collective shout and stuff. But you have to understand, consider the source before passing judgment, right? Like I am with racism, now I'm going to be the same with being shallow and stuff. Like, good-looking women and, like, yeah, virtuous women, right, are completely different walk from ugly women and promiscuous women. And you can be both. You can be a attractive woman who's promiscuous, and you can be an ugly woman who is also virtuous, right? Right? Who has, like, good morals, good whatever, right? Like, it's not mutually exclusive. But the reason why I have to point this out is because these women, they often prey upon each other's insecurities, and then they form groups, and then these groups go after other men who they want vengeance against, and other groups, because they themselves are worthless. Like, when you think about like these feminist activist groups, right? Brianna Wu, Anita Sarkeesian, and now this collective shout among others, right? One thing is prevalent amongst these three groups, that they cannot make video games. They just can't. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you turn into my channel, you see me playing a large variety of video games, because it's just the way it is. Like, we live in a world where there's people who are making tons of money, profit. They're paying their taxes too, and they're contributing to society, and we have to take a bow for the least productive, least capable peoples in society because they feel bad about themselves. So if you want to live your life, but it's at the expense of another person, then that person's life will take precedence over yours, right? Because it's like, oh, you're gonna make that person jealous if you do what you have to do, or you're gonna make that person, whatever, feel bad about themselves, right? And after years of this, people are waking up to the idea that, oh, that's funny. I love how when Sergio throws the animals. It's the best part. They're waking up to the idea that, we don't necessarily have to deal with this bullshit anymore. Like, if people don't want to exercise, that's on them. If people don't want to this or that, right? And quite frankly, why don't, you know, and I was also watching this like funny thing on Turkmenistan, Turkey, but it's like Turkmenistan. It's like different country. And now this country this country is so gorgeous. It's like, oh my god, look at all these places. It's like really, really well, nice and clean, no pollution, all that stuff, right? And guess what else? No people. I wonder why. What's that? Europe? It's opening its doors. It's gonna let refugees in. It wouldn't put it by me for a second that these people would lie and they say they're from like Syria or Afghanistan or whatever. just just to get at them white women, man. White women. It's all about the white women. It's even like getting to the collective shout where they're just like, oh, we can't have, you know, white women being superior. We must, like it's a repression type of thing where you see all these different groups of people, like ugly women, Muslims, Sikhs, the media with all their ugly, fake druggy junkie type, celebrity personalities and stuff. It's all unfolding before our eyes. And the craziest thing to come out of all this has to be the the alliance, the homosexual with Muslim alliance, the ugly women with the Muslim alliance. And even though the homosexuals and the ugly women will sometimes align themselves together, like you always think to yourself that they're about women's rights. They were never about women's rights. They're about their rights. Like everybody's like this self-serving, group of people that don't actually care about anything or anyone but themselves. So the inevitability is that you have these groups who are very much at odds with each other, but are willing to, help each other out, take a knee, if you will, and fight the cause collectively. And they're all failing. Hassan's like threatening he'll Klein, Ethan Klein's wife. Like you guys are folding hard. It's over. And I saw this documentary on denims. Dude, I couldn't. I think it was like halfway or like 2/3 through the video. I just kept seeing her face and like, here's the thing. I want you guys to do this. Nah, it's totally. Actually, I don't give a shit. This is what you do. You take your hand, you cover her chest, and then cover her hair, and you tell me that's not a dude. Fuck, dude. It's like the ugliest first ugly fuckling. How she tries to sell like nudes and all this shit. I still couldn't make enough money. Like, yo, dude, that's how fucking pathetic and worthless you are. And then your whole cause is like basically to ask Hassan for money, and Hassan's so pissed off that he's resorting to this level of violence. And apparently he doubled down. I'm like, okay, sure. No more praying in the streets of Spain. No more mosques, fucking speakerphones in Australia. No more ugly women telling everybody else what to do. Apparently, the collective shout is like censoring games, and they're going out of their way to censor like all these different kinds of games. To say like this is wrong. This is what makes our society so bad. Not our poor parenting or like broken homes and like divorce courts and all this shit to emasculate men and like nobody's bringing home the money and then government assistance here and all that shit. No. It's a video game. It's an easy out for ugly people because they can't create themselves. They're not physically capable. They're not mentally or emotionally capable, and their history alongside their Muslim concubine, whatever. So it's funny how I call the Muslims concubines. It should be the other way around, but it's just like, no, it's not. See you later, everybody.